درود چطور بچه‌ها، خوش اومدید به ویدیو دیگه. این بار اومدیم با پارت بعدی داستان واقعی. بله این بار امیر انداختم بیرون و خانم میخوام براتون ویدیو بگیرم.
باشه این چی میخوام ویدیو بگیرم؟
من ویدیو بگیرم دیگه، این چی نمارم
ویدیو چنل من چی میگی؟
من میخوام بگیرم.
خوش
باشه من میخوام بشینم ویدیو بگیرم. ول کن آرش بود
میدونم بالش لایشی رو داشتم قدرت نمیرسه.
من نمیرسه.
امروز میمونه ویژه داریم. گایز چطورین بچه‌ها، خوش اومدین به یه ویدیو دیگه. این بار اومدیم با پارت بعدی داستان‌های واقعی و همراه مهمون ویژه‌مون تیسپا. بله آقا تیسپا دیگه چه خبر؟
به تو چه ربطی داره؟
بی‌تربیت هم هستی؟ من چی به تو چه ربطی داره؟ حالا ویدیو من اومدیم.
خب به کفتم.
باشه برون بر بشین الان. خب نظرتون رو بدین، آیا از این تروی اول من خوشتون اومد یا بعدتون اومد برام که من ادامه بدم با افراد دیگه ای؟ پس اگه این ویدیو رو دوست داشتین حتما این ویدیو رو لایک کنید، چنل منو سابسکرایب کنید، زنگوله بغلش هم بزنید. چه اینسته من بالای تصویر میاد، توییتر، ویدیو، توییچ داخل دیسکریپشن از روی تصویرم میاد، حتما به اونا سر بزنید. چی بگم دیگه؟ نظرتون تو کامنت ها بنویسید. پس بدون معطلی let's play. خب ماجرای واقعی ترس که تحویل پیتزا.
I was out doing a delivery one late night. It was probably the longest drive I have ever taken for a pizza delivery. From the pizza place I worked at.
شما نظرتون رو بدین، آیا داخل شهرهای شما پیتزا دلیوری هست یا باید برین دمه داره؟ پاساشو بگیم. چه سوال مسخره وقتی دنبال کامنت میگردن.
It was a 20-minute drive, which isn't too crazy out where I live. Plus, they ordered 4 large pies, so I figured it was a party and I would get a much bigger tip. Navigating the dirt roads at night was always annoying though. I pulled up to the given address. It was some
ماشینش اینجوری بود، ماشین رالی بود.
Navigating the dirt roads at night was always annoying though. I pulled up to the given address.
کشور زندگی میکنی.
It was some
ایرانش هم
sketchy
این همه
looking
چی
building
آسفالت.
literally in the middle of a forest clearing. There were no cars parked anywhere or any lights on. I put my car in park and called my boss. I asked him to reread the address at least 3 times to make sure I typed it in right, but that checked out. I could tell he was in a really bitchy mood, and he told me to at least knock on the door and check it out. He would normally get mad if we took back 1 pie, but I was afraid of what he would do if I brought back 4. I was insanely unnerved, but got out anyway and forced myself to the...
الان مگه یارو بهش زنگ نزده؟ خب شماره یارو میاد. مثلا هر پیتزا فروشی هم که میری یه فکر کنم کد داره، اون کده بر حسب شمارته. خب اگه این اتفاق میفته چرا اون شماره رو بهت نداده که زنگ بزنی یارو بیاد دم در؟
front door of the building.
واقعا
There was no doorbell, so I just knocked real...
نظر تو چیه؟
کلا نقص خلاص.
جوان نظرت تو
بکنی تو کونت.
hard. I heard nothing and didn't really expect to hear anything. I was extremely disappointed.
اون ترکیده.
Not because nobody answered the door, but because I was realizing that it was all a waste of time and gas. I knocked one more time out of desperation. And then began to hear some kind of rustling noises from inside of the building.
الان قراره از هم گسسته بشی.
I knocked again and yelled that I was the pizza guy. There was silence now. I felt a bit more uncomfortable now than before. But before I could turn around, I noticed something at the window.
Lulu.
There was someone looking through the window. I couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman. All I noticed were their eyes. Impossible, staring intently at me.
به نظر کرده
I was disturbed.
الان میری تو جانی سینس میاد و اصلا کارهای زیبا
Enough by this and dropped the pizzas and ran back to my car. The shitty thing wouldn't start until turning the key for the third time. I drove off the grass and back onto the dirt road, but I felt the car rocking about, shaking and bumping. Something wasn't right. I didn't make it far from the building before I started hearing a sharp scraping sound coming from outside. There was so much resistance that I couldn't even drive. The car came to a stop. I got out of the car to check what the hell was wrong. A chill ran up my spine as I began to feel like my heart was constantly skipping beats. My tires had been slashed and had completely fallen off the rim. Not just the front though. All 4 tires were slashed. I realized
مشکل نشست تو ماشین پایینه 4 تا چرخ دیگه میره پایین باشن شاید هم توازن ایجاد شده.
Somebody did this when I was knocking on the door to that building. Instead of running, I got back in the car and locked the doors. I was so close to that building, I could practically see it from where I was, if it weren't for the trees blocking the view.
الان یه سوال ماشین لاستیکش پنچر بشه فرد نمیتونه مثلا این با لاستیک پنچر برونه یا ماشین که سرویس میشه ولی برای اینکه جونشون نشون بده نجات بده مجبوره این کارو بکنه دیگه الان فعلا در حال جون خودش که مهمتر بود.
I dialed 911 and explained everything to the operator. She told me the cops would be over as soon as possible and that I need to stay here.
وسط ماشین با اون رنگ و اینا میتونی مخفی
بمونی. It was advisable to stay in the car or run. And she told me it would be best to stay in the car with the door locked. She asked me to stay on the line until the cops arrived. My whole body was shaking. In all directions, there was nothing but dark, forest. I knew it would take forever for the cops to get there. I was not comfortable with sitting in that car so close to whoever did this. The next part, though, is what utterly destroyed me. It still shakes me to this day, and I hope nobody ever has to experience this kind of fear. As I was scanning all the windows, making sure nobody was outside, I looked in the rearview mirror, and there was the same person. The same person I saw at that window. Eyes open wider than ever. I could see now that it was a woman, and I could ever so slightly see a smile begin to spread across her face. I opened my door and sprinted into the woods, not caring how much noise I made. I ran until I was out of breath, which didn't take long, and I hid behind a giant log on the ground. I tried to cover my loud breathing with my hands as I waited and waited for what felt like hours until I finally heard sirens in the distance.
الان باید یه چیزی میشد من دوست نداشتم.
All the stamina I had left to run all the way back in the direction of the dirt road. Eventually, the glowing red and blue lights came into view, and I had never felt better in my life. They were parked in front of my car, investigating with flashlights. I came out yelling at them like a lunatic to help me. I fell to the floor and started to gag, almost throwing up from running so much. They picked me up and began to question me, to which I explained everything to the best of my ability. One of the 2 cars drove over to the building, and the 2 officers began to search the building. They came back with nothing except for a couple of spiky objects. These objects were exactly the same as the ones used to slash my tires.
اصلا مگه یارو تو خونه نبود چجوری لاستیکاتو پانچر کرده بود؟ اصلا منطقی نیست این حرکت که یارو داخل خونه باشه بعد لاستیکاتو همزمان پانچر کنه. مسلما یک نفر دیگه بود.
The cops guessed that it was some kind of sick, demented couple.
یه زوج
I saw the woman, but unfortunately they were never found, and that still kills me to this day.
همین.
I obviously quit my job right after that and started working at a local grocery store. I know that I'll never forget seeing that woman at the back of my car.
اونم نمیتونه تو رو فراموش کنه. زنه. ایسبا جان نظرت راجع به ویدیو چی بود؟
چرت و پرت.
منطقی آرمین اومده بود گفت چرت و پرت بود. صحیح. بریم به نظرت ویدیو بعدی؟ بریم. خب این ترسه چه؟ بچکی بودی؟ چجور خاطر 5 سالگیشو یادته؟ شما بگین داخل کامنت ها آیا خاطره 5 سالگیتون یادتونه یا فقط این یادش مونده؟
That was certainly true about me and my childhood experiences. Since I was a little boy, I have experienced supernatural happenings. I've always seen weird silhouettes and heard strange noises at night. I was really scared of them. Sometimes, while laying in bed, I would feel entities around me. One particular day, my parents were outside doing some gardening. Suddenly, I got shivers down my spine. It felt like a cold winter breeze hit me, even though it was summer. The next thing I heard was my mom calling me. I got up and went out of my room. Ahead of me, the bathroom door started opening. As I approached the bathroom, I saw a black silhouette entering the bathtub. He was staring straight at me from the tub with its white eyes. I froze in shock and disbelief. After staring at this thing for a few seconds, it vanished. I ran to my mother crying and told her everything. I was scared. Later, she said she never actually called me. She told me I should stop watching so many cartoons. That's why I was seeing things. This didn't convince me because I knew what I saw. The day turned to night and I asked my parents to sleep with them. That night I
شب بابا عصبانیه این لبخندش از رو عصبانیه.
Slept really well and nothing happened. In the morning, I got up really early. My parents were still sound asleep. I sat up in the bed, just coming out of my drowsiness. All of a sudden, the silhouette appeared in my hallway. It had a distorted face with bruises on its neck. It raised its hand. At that moment, I screamed and covered my eyes. My parents woke up and asked me what was wrong. I told them everything. I'll never forget what happened that day. I'm turning 20 this fall. I've never experienced anything like this since then. A few months ago, my experience came up in a family gathering. Someone told me that before I was born, one of my elderly relatives lived in our house. Her husband hanged himself near the bathroom in my parents' bedroom.
دوستان اینو به بچه میگن؟ گوه اصلا.
I was horrified when I heard this. Thankfully, part of that house got torn down.
چرا؟
I think that's why the experiences stopped.
همین؟ واقعا چرت بود. منم این دفعه با
چی خوب بود؟
چی خوب بود؟
همین
هیچ اتفاقی نیفتاد توش.
اهمیت مهم نیست، کیفیت مهمه.
اصلا هم خوب نبود آقا. بگی خوب بود اینو میگیرم میزنم.
خیلی خوب بود.
اصلا خوب نبود چرتم نگو باشه؟
باشه ولی خوب بود.
روز حرف خودشو میزنه.
هم رو داشت هم آدم داشت.
باشه اصلا هرچی تو میگی. ممنون که این ویدیو رو تماشا کردید. اگه ویدیو رو دوست داشتین حتما این ویدیو رو لایک کنید، کانال منم سابسکرایب کنید، زنگوله بغلش هم بزنید، چنین استه من بالای تصویر میاد به اونم سر بزنید. حرف آخر آقای کیسوار خان جلو حرفتو بزن. کادری دیگه. آره
امیر رو بلاک کنید، بعد هایدش هم بکنید، همه کار بکنید از همه جا.
چرت میگه، زن حرف اینو گوش نکن. اینم همون رفیق آرمینه. پس تا ویدیوی بعدی.